From Vienna, Austria, Avalanche, and from Dresden in Germany, Shooter Schulz. Together, they are blown up.
The big man is in there! The Avalanche! Shooter is out!
Look at the Avalanche! Look at the power of this! Look at the
This week on Blown Up, a man who was here in Germany as part of Coast to Coast, the human rocket, the ace of space, the man who is first on the list for the US Space Force, Leon San Giovanni, LSG.
Hello and welcome everybody, this is Blown Up episode 52. My name is Avalanche aka Robert Dreisker, and with me, like always, the wonderful Felix Shooter Schulz. Hello Felix, how are you?
Hello Robert, I'm very well, nice to be here with you. Back again with an English episode of Blown Up. It's been a while. I can't remember what was the last English episode we did? It's been a while.
I don't remember.
Jeff Cobb.
Oh yeah, that was 49 I guess, so
Yes.
We didn't do that many episodes in the meanwhile, but yeah, Jeff Cobb was our last one. And I would say let's not waste any more time. If you want to lose a word or two about the American elections, then this would be your turn now.
There's not much to say at the moment because while we are taping it, there's not really a winner yet. The votes are still counting. We don't exactly know what's happening. We wish you all, everybody who's in the US, good luck and all the best, and we hope that democracy will still stand strong after this one. But let's see about that in a couple of days, I guess. Now we're back here with our guest. Who's our guest
You know
today?
what? No. You know what, Felix? I'm actually looking forward to the day when we get out of the lockdown and all that stuff, and then when we're in the match together for the first time, then I will shout at you to stop the count. Stop the count. Stop the count.
Please do that. Please do that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, but Robert, who's our guest today?
Yeah, that was enough joking, obviously. Our guest today is Leon St. Giovanni. You know him from promotions like Wrestle Pro, Ring of Honor, and many more. And he was also part of a tour together with his tag team partner, Shaheem Ali, with Coast2Coast 2 years ago. They stayed for 2 months with us at the WXW Wrestling Academy, where we got to know each other fairly well, I would say. And it was definitely nice to catch up again after actually way too much time. But yeah, since everything is in lockdown, there's also no chances of going anywhere right now. So it was cool to catch up with him. And I would say let's not lose any more time. Here's our talk with Leon. You just posted, I think it was yesterday, you posted on your Instagram that it's been 2 years that you've been with us here in Germany at the Academy.
Yes. Yeah,
it's great. It's a crazy example how fast time goes by, because it feels like it was 3 months ago that we've been to Hamburg and talking backstage about what's going to happen and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been wild. I mean, I remember when it was the 1 year anniversary last year, and it felt like it was a couple of days ago that I was in Germany. But yeah, now you fast forward 2 years, it's crazy how much has happened. But at the same time, it feels like it was just yesterday. And I think a big part of that is the connections I've made, because I'm always talking to the people that I met there. So I haven't lost connection with them since, so I feel like I'm still part of everything that's going on. I follow the product, and it's just cool to have that experience.
Yeah, also you guys were here for quite some time, so it doesn't felt just like a fly-in coming over, having a show and going back. It just felt like you were part of the team, part of the of the whole touring crew. So it felt really like you were here, now you're part of it, no matter where you are at the world.
We get the full experience. You know, it was like 7 or 8 weeks, and it was everything from, you know, living in the apartment and to training in the academy all day to traveling, doing the ring crew, wrestling, just kind of everything. We got to experience everything there.
Have you two guys wrestled each other during that time?
No.
No.
I think there were plans to be not for a regular tag team match, but I think there were plans for exactly. But I don't know, or I don't remember why it didn't happen.
I think your partner got hurt. I think.
Oh, that could be the case, or maybe I pulled out because I told him no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna work that Italian guy. Sorry.
Through coast to coast. I don't.
No, actually, I would have really liked to work with you guys, but yeah, I think it was because Nero got injured at some point. What was like to me now, also as the head coach, to me it's all, but it was always interesting for me to see people like from America, which is like the homeland of wrestling, to have people come over to Germany to work on their craft and also like to stay with us for a couple of months. Can you tell us what was the thought process behind your stay 2 years ago?
I think like a big part of what I like about the product over there is that it's still like in its purest form. You know, in America, there's so many different promotions and there's so many wrestlers. It's very saturated that the wrestling, I guess, the art form itself is very like it's so distant from what it used to be, and I feel like it's still like somewhat traditional in Germany. There's still elements of like that old school feeling. And it was kind of cool to go back to the roots of everything and like just start from the ground up and like almost like try all the things that I've been doing in the ring, try it for a new audience to see if it would work or not. And I think like the audiences are just a lot more appreciative too. You know, here in America, the fans are very, I guess the word is spoiled. You know, we have so much wrestling. You know, just in my state alone, in one weekend, there might be 10 different events. There might be 10 different shows. So when you go over there, I think the fans are they appreciate everything you do, and they're not spoiled, and they love everything they see. And I like to think they react for everything that you want them to react for. They boo and they cheer when they're supposed to, and it's just like, it's a cool feeling. Especially, it's just a pure feeling, I feel like, of wrestling.
So would you say there's no like casual wrestling fans in the on the East Coast anymore?
There are, you know, but it's mostly like children. It's either children or very older fans, but the ones in between, you know, like you know, everything from 15 to 35 or 15 to 40 years old, they're, you know, smart now and they want to be impressed, and they don't like to make noise. They like to sit there and just say, "Impress me." You know, they want to be impressed. They're not there to have a good time, unfortunately. I mean, there are fans that are really cool, but then also there's the ones that, you know, that aren't. But I feel like my first experience over there was the World Tag League, and that weekend I just saw how much passion there was. I think you had a lot of fans just coming from overseas too, right? There were people from everywhere, from the UK that come over, and it's just like they're just so passionate, and that's like the part that will stick with me the most. I think the energy level is incredible. Over here, you know, New Jersey and New York, you might put on an incredible show and the fans might not care at all because they've seen it all. They've seen everything, and they can go to 5 shows in 1 month, and it's not that special to them anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you actually, like, I was just scrolling through some results from the time you were here. You actually got a very broad picture of like wrestling in Germany. You basically, like, you had those big shows in Oberhausen, where like tag team league and stuff happened. But at the same time, or not at the same time, of course, but like a week later, you went to the other side of the country and wrestling in front of basically casual fans only, maybe mixed with like 10 to 15 people who follow stuff on the internet. That's actually, you picked a good time to come over to to see a bright variation of what Germany has to offer in terms of different crowds and stuff.
Yeah, you could tell just by walking into the building, or even just going into the town, what you were going to get. I know you call them like town shows, right? Is that what you call them? And it's almost like I guess over here, like the WWE's house shows, where you take what works and you apply it, and it's a good place to even experiment with things and try new things and see what works, and then take that and bring it to the larger events. And I love that. I love that aspect, especially when you get to work with the same teams multiple times, and you just improve each time. You know, you try some things out, and you just every match it gets better and better and better, and you just build that chemistry. And just I love that camaraderie of just getting on the road, just even if it's a small show, big show, just that like the feeling of just traveling with all the guys. It's awesome.
Like what Robert just said, I'm just now also going through the matches. That's insane. You started with Inner Circle, which is like a strange parallel world at its own, because it's like very small packed the academy. Then the next day, the World Tag Team League, and then Hof the next week, which is a small town.
Right. Yeah.
Almost on the Czech border, or Leipzig, which is like a small metal club in nowhere. Erfurt, which is also a small metal club in nowhere. That's great.
So much fun. They were just all so different. Like, I mean, I love telling the story of the first day, like getting there with Shaheem, and we were just rushing. We didn't understand the transportation system, and we're like freaking out because I think we were on first. We were first match in Inner Circle. So like we rushed just from traveling across the world. We got our.
Oh, you know, wait a second. So you came in on the day of Inner Circle?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We didn't even. I don't even think we saw the apartment yet. We just got to the building, to the academy, got to the locker room and changed, and then wrestled. Like we wrestled Aussie Open. It was like, I was like, okay, whatever. This is cool. This is just let's get to work. Like let's just get to it. No wasted time.
But how did it work out? Why did you come to WXW? Like how was the process to even get here? Like why?
Right.
Because you've been under Ring of Honor contract at that point, haven't you?
Yes. I was under contract. Yeah, I was under contract. So I think, you know, when I started wrestling, I mean, even before I started wrestling, I knew of the company, and you know, a lot of the guys that came from Ring of Honor have passed through there at some point, and you know, just seeing where they travel all over the world, you see that that's where they stopped in WXW. You guys had such a great reputation, so I knew one day, like when I became a wrestler, that was the goal of mine, especially because I was born in Germany, so I wanted.
Really?
I was born there. So
why? I either forgot or I did never know. Which city were you born in?
I was born in a little town called Kusel. It was like it's like southwest.
Okay.
Because my father was in the military, so he lived there, and my mother moved with him from New York, and then they had me. I was born there, and I lived there for about 2 years. But I mean, I don't remember anything. I was a baby, so all I have is pictures, you know, from the countryside and being like going to castles, and you know, my family has a lot of friends over there now. But it was always a goal of mine to go back, even though I didn't get to visit where I was born, just to experience the culture and just be there immerse myself for those 2 months. It was extremely special to me.
Cool. I have not known that. That's very cool.
Yeah. So that's why it was a huge deal for me. And I was doing a lot of events in New York with AJ, with Alexander James. So I would always ask him about it, and you know, because he was going back and forth. And one day he just gave me the information, and he was like, you know what, it can't hurt. Let me reach out. I was building up a good resume of matches with Ring of Honor, because Shaheem and I were wrestling all the best tag teams in the world. At the time, you know, we were wrestling guys like War Machine, Young Bucks, Briscoe Brothers, Motor City Machine Guns. So we were gaining good experience, and I think we needed to maybe leave Ring of Honor for a little bit to get our name bigger and then come back. And I thought, this is a good idea. Why don't we try to go there, especially because World Tag Team League is coming up. We can be part of that weekend and get more exposure, work with some better tag teams, and learn a little bit and come back better. It just worked out perfectly.
Without, it was just 2 months, but
Yeah.
do you think you came back better than before, or did you learn something here in what you still used afterwards, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like I like to tell people this, that those 2 months changed me forever. Like, it was just kind of an eye-opening experience because, like many wrestlers, I'm working a full-time job as well. I work during the day, and then at night I'm training every day. So it was the first time I had just 2 months just dedicate solely to the craft of pro wrestling, where it was just wake up, eat. I was eating very healthy, work out in the morning, take a break, come back, train again. I was training like twice a day. And my whole life was pro wrestling. And then the weekends we would travel. So it was the first time I really got to experience just what it would be like if this was full-time wrestling. And Shaheem and I had never spent that much time together before. We would see each other at the events or whatever, but this is the first time we were staying together, eating together, traveling together, training together, all those things. And I think it just made us a better team as well.
That's cool.
Actually, it can. That could go in both directions, right? So I'm glad it went the good way for you two guys.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. We have times where we like, butt heads a little about things, but I think it made us stronger as a team together, for sure.
Well,
just because we got to just getting in the ring every day with each other was just it was a nice change. Because before that, the only time we would see each other was at the events, right before the match started. So this was just a much different experience, and I know we both left with a better mindset.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, what was your full-time job back then? When you just said that you had like a full-time job.
Yeah, I worked for like a web design company.
Okay, so like really office 9 to 5 or.
Yeah, working on a computer, like managing a team of designers and like coders and things like that. So it's like, it's nice because I get to rest my body for wrestling, which is cool. So I can't complain about that. And it was nice to just stop that for 2 months. You know what I mean? Just change my lifestyle for 2 months and just really focus only on pro wrestling.
So I'd have a question here. So because you said usually you would just meet Shaheem right before the matches, but now you actually got time. You could spend together to get better as a team. Weren't you both trained in the Monster Factory?
Yeah, we were years ago. So we had both started at the Monster Factory. Well, I think he started before me somewhere else. We met at the Monster Factory, but Shaheem was part of a different tag team. He had been teaming with someone else for years. I was on my own. I was a singles wrestler. So we saw each other training and things like that. We were cool with each other, but we weren't that close. It wasn't until we joined the Ring of Honor dojo and we would train with Delirious. That's when we got closer and became a tag team. And then Shaheem moved to New York City, and I wasn't really seeing him that often. So we would only see each other at Ring of Honor events. That was it. So we had trained together before, but nothing like at the academy.
But did you start at the Monster Factory, or did you wrestle somewhere before that?
Yeah, so I started somewhere else first. I was it's called the Ace Academy. It's actually the school where Jay Lethal and AJ Lee came from.
Oh, okay. Where is
but
that?
It closed down right after I started, maybe 3 months after. So I was, for a small amount of time, maybe about a year or two, I was just jumping around from school to school because luckily where I live, there are just a lot of schools. Just in my state alone, there are maybe 5 or 6. So you can train, there's a lot of options. And I was just jumping around from school to school, but I needed a home. And that's when I joined the Monster Factory, and that was my home, and I was there consistently for a few years.
So you just mentioned you joined your first wrestling school, and they shut down 3 months after. Isn't
Yeah.
it very common in the US that you have to pay a huge amount of money up front to get your training? So my question is basically, did you lose a lot of money?
No, I lucked out. I don't know how I got around that because you're right. Most schools will force you to pay up front, or at least a good amount, like a good chunk of the money up front. I was able to get around that somehow, and I was paying like per session. I think that the guy knew that they were going to close down, and I'm surprised he didn't steal my money. Like he could have easily stolen my money, but I think maybe he knew they were going to close down soon, and he didn't want to steal, $3,000 or whatever it was. So I got very lucky. So that first like year or two, I was just paying per session. It's not your traditional style of starting, but that's how I got started.
That's how it is, right? Just
Yeah,
I want to ask
Yep.
because I just have Cage Match here as my source for information of your early career, and I don't think it's I don't know. I don't think it had everything of you in it because probably most of
No.
those small shows on the East Coast are not part of it. When did you actually start wrestling? Like, what would you think? What was your really starting wrestling?
My first like training match was the end of 2010, so it's almost 10 years. It was Beyond Wrestling used to do these like closed door tapings, like private.
Okay, yeah.
So it was like, I don't know if are you guys familiar with Beyond Wrestling? Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
old. They used to do like the closed doors, just wrestlers wrestling for wrestlers, kind of like what's happening now. So it was just like that, and one of like the guys that broke me into the business, he's like, he took a carload of young guys, and he's like, come on down, let's do a taping and get some matches in. And we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were just going, doing stupid stuff in the ring. But then you fast forward to 2011 when I had my official debut
Hmm.
in my hometown, like where I live,
Oh, cool. Where your
at my high school.
was your family and friends there?
Yeah, family, friends, my old high school teachers,
Okay, that's a terrible situation to have a debut match.
and it was the worst match of my life. It was so bad. And Eugene was on the show, Nick Dinsmore,
Yeah.
and he was watching in the back, and I knew it was bad. But when I got to the back, he looks disgusted. He's like, that was shit. But I'm glad he said that because I know a lot of young guys that get into the business and people just say good things and that's it. But I mean, I was always an athlete. I grew up playing sports, so I know you need to hear those negative things in order to improve. So I'm glad he was honest with us. So I'm always honest with the younger students now.
But so did he give you a little bit more advice than it just being shit, or was
No,
that it?
He did.
Okay.
There was a lot of like, you're doing too much, slow down, like the basic stuff you tell younger wrestlers.
The basic stuff you tell younger wrestlers and they don't understand anyway,
Right.
which is
I was like, okay.
totally normal. But
Yeah. But I'm glad. I'll never forget that because, when I first started, there was always promoters that would just say, "Oh, good, Gio, good job," but I didn't learn anything from that because in the back of my head, I knew it wasn't very good at all. So I needed to hear critiques. I needed to hear the negative things.
So, what do you think? How long did it take for you? Or when do you think for you that you for yourself think you got it or you understood at some point? Like, okay, now I get what they mean after all those months or years of talk.
I still get those moments of like clarity like
Right.
that even now, but probably like 5 or 6 years in, like it takes a while. You have to fail in order to improve, and then when you start listening to the crowd and just figuring out,
Yeah.
okay, this is working. Now it makes sense with what these coaches have been telling me this whole time. They finally.
one thing I'm actually, yeah, I don't know if jealous is the right word, but I would really wish that it would be, like this in Europe too, that you would be like on whatever indie show, but there would be that one guy who's been on WWE TV and really knows
Yeah.
how it should be done, and can actually give guys feedback, because we don't have that here at all, because all old timers who've been here in the heydays of European wrestling
Right.
basically aren't around anymore, or don't care about it, or however you want to phrase it. So that's actually something I'm kind of, yeah, jealous is the wrong word, but I think that's a pretty cool thing about, like, uh US indie wrestling. There's always some guy who can teach
Yeah.
you something.
Yeah. I know when I was coming up, every event had some kind of WWE or WCW name, or even like an ECW guy as like the guest star of the show. You know, especially this local promotion I worked for when I first came up. Every month there was somebody on the show: Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Jake the Snake, anybody you can think of. There's always somebody on the show, and then mixed in with all the local kids, the younger kids. And every show, you would just see the whole locker room just sitting around, and then the guy would just be basically like speaking and just sharing wisdom, or watching the matches behind the curtain. So like, some of the wrestling wasn't great, but you always had that resource. You always had somebody that was successful in the business that was sharing something. And I mean, there's always seminars too. I haven't been to one in a while, but when I was coming up, I tried to go to every seminar possible. I must have gone to like 30 different seminars with all kinds of guys. Guys from TNA to WWE to, yeah, anybody you could think of. I would ask you, why do you feel like it's like that in Europe, where like the older generation, they just kind of fade off? Is there a reason they don't like stick around?
Well, I think, like, big part of that is that in the late 90s or early 2000s, so basically when in the US, like, wrestling was red hot, the scene in Europe died completely.
Oh,
and
wow.
so the scene in Europe basically started from scratch in the early 2000s. And yeah, it was, I don't know, like, I wasn't part of the scene back then, so I can't really say firsthand, but a lot of the guys who've been wrestling on pretty high level throughout the 90s weren't really interested anymore in, like, basically dealing with fans, you know.
Gotcha.
Because so and I guess I think they would teach you something if you pay them a ridiculous amount of money,
Yeah.
which I'm sure happened. But yeah, like,
Yeah.
since the scene, I mean, you could really say it died off completely and started from scratch.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I think there's not this thing going on with having older guys on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see like old time guys go to Europe and stay there. I mean, no, like, so my friend, I guess he worked with PN News in Austria. Was it? I don't know if it's
Yeah.
Austria.
Could very well be Peer News. Cannonball Grizzly.
Yeah.
He's now back in the States, I think.
Okay.
He's now a truck driver in Nebraska, I think, but I'm not sure.
Probably.
It's funny.
No, I know the guy who really kickstarted it back in Europe was Chris Hero, when he, like, in the early 2000s came over a couple times, and that he brought knowledge and wisdom. It's things like the old guard knew here, but was not.
I mean,
didn't want to
yeah,
share in a big.
yes, he brought knowledge and stuff, but if you really think about it, he was pretty green himself back then.
Yeah, sure, obviously, but like, compared to everybody
yeah.
around here, yeah.
So it's not like, yeah, here's fucking Dean Malenko running a seminar and telling you how it works. It's a guy who knows way more than everybody else on the scene, but actually, from where he's coming from, he still considered a newcomer, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, he played a big role in getting things started again in Europe, for sure.
Crazy
That's
times. Crazy times.
Yeah, and taking that in consideration, I'm pretty happy how European wrestling is nowadays again. So
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective over here, when we think of European wrestling, it's like we look at it as like extremely advanced. Like I I enjoy it more than a lot of the stuff here. A lot of the stuff here in the United States is it's a little weird. It's like a little crazy, a little reckless. I think I'm all about innovation and trying new things, but I feel like they lose touch of like tradition and like pure wrestling. And I feel like you guys have that, like you guys are still holding on to that for us for some reason. Like you guys took that, now you guys do it and we don't.
I, d- I mean, I can only talk for like WXW or at least the Academy, and I'm just a big believer that at the end of the day, it's still a competition and it always has to, because if it's not, to me it's not wrestling anymore. Then it could be just I don't know, cheerleading, whatever. I don't know, like.
And I think part of the part of my feeling about that too is because I got to train with Timothy Thatcher when I was there. So that's another reason why I had like the timing was so good for me. I was there with Timothy Thatcher and Fred Yehai. So it's like you're in there with like the guys who are legit. They're legit. I didn't come from an amateur wrestling background. I never did MMA or boxing or anything like that. So it was a cool feeling to get that like flavor of like realism, to bring it back into my style, for example. I think everybody at the Academy was extremely like grateful too that he was there, because if you tell people you're trained by him, I feel like it puts you on a different level.
I know nobody from here who has to say one bad word about Timothy Thatcher. Everybody lost him 100%.
You guys miss him?
Yes, actually.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well,
I miss him. I mean, that sounds very cheesy, but I miss him very much, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm happy I can write to him sometimes, but it's not that often.
Yeah.
But hey, Tim, miss you.
You know exactly he's not gonna hear this.
No, of course not. He's not listening.
But nice try. Actually, we're the only podcast Tim Thatcher was ever on, I think.
Really?
We're very proud of that.
That's part of what I love him, because he's a mystery.
He's wonderful.
He would just be gone the whole day, and he would show up in the apartment and go, huh? Like, all right. Cool.
It's very sad that he couldn't see that now.
He'd go right into his room and read. Like, okay.
This was a that was a spot on Tim Thatcher impression right here.
Huh? Yeah, it's a good time.
Let's get back to 2020. It has been a really fucked up year. Let me put it like that.
Yes.
Is there any wrestling going on at the moment in your state? I know you've been to Alaska, right?
Yes.
which is pretty weird, or sounds wild at least.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell us, like, before we talk about the situation in your state at the moment, what was the trip to Alaska about? And
so it's funny you bring that up. So Alaska is like a different world. Okay, I can't believe it's part of the United States, because it feels like it's so distant from the mainland. But it's so weird. Okay, for one, like coronavirus is like not even a thing over there. Like we ran to
because they don't believe in it existing, or why?
That's part of it. So the thing is that I think because of the distance, they've been able to contain it more. They're containing it better. You have to get tested as well to even fly into the state.
Okay.
You have to show up and show them your results. If you're if it's pending still, or if it's positive, you have to quarantine, and they check you and they'll fine you and everything. If it's negative, you're good to go. You can do whatever. But they have it contained. And so we did one event. We did two events, actually. The first night, it was 3 hours away from the airport. So very distant from everything. We had a sold out show, 400 people, not a single mask in the crowd. It felt like normal. It felt like 2019. It was like the weirdest experience. I'm like, taking pictures and sending it to my friends and family. Like, look at this. Like, oh my God, remember people? Remember crowds? So it was just awesome experience. And yeah, like that town, they don't believe in it. They think it's a hoax. They're like, that's not real. That's fake news. They say stop the fake news media. That's what the hoax.
But like,
So like, you can't convince them. So I was like, whatever. I'm gonna just do the show and get the hell out of here.
but was it like a promotion, a local promotion from there? Was it like a mainland promotion doing a tour, or what was that?
So it's the promotion that I work for right here in my state. That's down the street from my house.
Well,
So my new I guess home promotion is called Wrestle Pro. It was started by Pat Buck, who's an agent with WWE on Raw and SmackDown, and his partner is also Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers. So there's two schools, one in New York and then one here, actually down the street from my house. The booker of the company, Kevin Matthews, he took a vacation to Alaska. I think a couple years ago, and he fell in love with it and found out that there was no wrestling there. So he had this crazy idea of bringing wrestling to Alaska, and basically like, let's see what happens. And now this was our third trip, and now we're already cultivating. We're becoming like a scene of wrestling there now. There's a school out there too, called the 907 Wrestling Academy, because now kids out there who want to wrestle, they know there's something to look forward to. There's going to be wrestling in Alaska now, and I think next year we're going to do a big tour. 10 days, 5 shows, all over Alaska.
but is Alaska, as I imagine it with my prejudice about Alaska, that's just a dark, snowy place with, I don't know, polar bears everywhere? Or is it like, I mean, it's September or like October when you went there. Isn't it cold as shit?
Yeah. I went in December in 2019, and it was dark most of the day. Maybe 2 hours of sunlight. That's it. It depends on the time of the year. So
Yeah.
we just went a couple weeks ago, and it was normal. It was like normal daylight.
Okay.
But if you go deep into the winter, that's when you get into like full darkness. And I would say a lot of the cities and towns are just normal, like just surrounded by mountains.
Okay.
And everyone has guns.
Of course.
Well, that's just America, isn't it?
Where I live in New Jersey, that's not a thing. The people don't have guns here. I mean, you can get one, but that's not a way of life. If you go to Alaska, everyone has a gun. Like everybody.
I mean-
we had a gun vendor at the show. There was a table at the merch table with guns.
What
That's
the
like, what?
hell?
That's
What the
great.
hell?
But like branded guns for so I don't know.
The LSG
Did the
assault rifle?
LSG gun? No.
No, not yet. I'm working on it.
Do it for the big tour. Do it for
No,
the
they're
big
just
tour.
the gun shops over there. They buy a table and they sell guns. It was so funny. I was in like a street fight with like 6 guys, and I was like, guys, let's do a spot where I go get a gun, and we'll go outside and I'll shoot one of you, and I'll come back and you're dead outside. But it's so crazy. Like, it's just a different world, very different culture than where I'm from.
So now I'm imagining, as a traditional wrestling fan,
Yeah.
you have like this area, this region where people are not used to wrestling that much. And you have maybe a very good heel on the card. And there's a table with guns. And then I think about Puerto Rico, or I don't know, those crazy times.
Yeah.
Isn't that dangerous as shit?
It's, you know what? The thought has crossed my mind. It's definitely crossed my mind. And, hey, it's like, don't get too much heat. You might get shot. You might get shot with a rifle, like in the middle of the ring.
By the way,
It's that first event we did. So there's so little like exposure to wrestling, unless you watch WWE. The first event we did was a mix. So it was a boxing, MMA, and pro wrestling. So there was like 2 or 3 boxing matches, a kickboxing, and pro wrestling.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But you had a wrestling ring, or?
We had a wrestling ring. They did everything. Yeah. So weird, man. So weird.
I think-
the second night was it was near Anchorage, which Anchorage is the main city there. they are very in touch with wrestling. They follow the product. They watch AEW and they know indie wrestling and stuff like that.
You said main city. Is there another really city?
There are maybe 2 or 3 in Alaska. There's Anchorage, Fairbanks, and Juneau. I think those are the main ones. The other ones they're cities because they have a lot of there's military presence there, so there's a lot of people. Yeah.
So if you ever be like the grizzled old veteran and you give new guys advice, just tell them don't get too much heat or you got shot.
Yes.
That's your advice for the young guys at some point.
My advice from now on. All the new guys that go to Alaska, be careful, don't get shot. Don't get too much heat. Because we actually had, that first night, we had a fight with the crowd in my match.
What?
Yeah. We had a big street fight, so it was 7 guys fighting all over the arena.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting with one guy in the balcony, and I look down and like, they're fighting a guy in the crowd. Somebody's beer got spilled, and one of our wrestlers punched the guy in the face, and then another guy dove on the fan, and I'm like, damn it, stop guys, like someone's gonna get shot for sure. Like,
that's old school.
It's funny, when we were in Broken Rules in Dresden?
Probably.
I got like I had to almost fight a fan.
That's Dresden. That's my city.
I was like, oh shoot, this is cool. I always wanted to do this. I got pushed by a fan. I like turned around and like whacked him.
Yeah, maybe Alaska and Saxony aren't too far off each other.
So I want to speak about a thing because the only thing wrestling related I see on this picture of you is in the background, left from you, on the fridge there, is the Ring of Honor New Japan show in Madison Square Garden. It was also 2 years ago, right? Last year? No, it was last year.
2019.
Yeah. I mean, we've been there. Robert and me were at the show as fans. But
crazy.
Yeah, like, you wrestled in Madison Square Garden. Not many people can say that about themselves.
Yeah, I tell people timing is everything. It just happened to be like I'm working with Ring of Honor at the time. There's opportunity there with the Honor Rumbles. It was cool just to get in. It was just, I'm just grateful because I've been to Madison Square Garden as a fan before. Like I'm a basketball fan, so I've seen the New York Knicks play there. I've seen a few WWE events there. I've seen like Survivor Series and a couple other things. So it was just wild.
Which one? Which Survivor Series?
It wasn't that long ago. It was the one with The Rock and John Cena teamed against The Miz and R-Truth.
Oh, funny story. WXW referee Rainer Ringer was at that show as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So I mean, it was just, and my parents were there in the crowd, and to me, it felt like the moment where maybe they, at least for my father, hopefully he believes that this is real now, because like I feel like he's always questioned me, like what are you doing with this wrestling thing, like. So I think him seeing me perform there at the world's most famous arena kind of like solidified that this was a real thing that I was doing with my life, and it wasn't just a hobby.
I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you're not under Ring of Honor contract anymore, right?
I am not.
Did it just fade off, or was there like, I don't know, did they have problems because of Corona? I really didn't follow this.
No. So I had a year-long contract, so
okay.
It ended December 31st, 2019.
Yeah.
And I was in negotiations to resign, but I didn't want to do it immediately. There was no rush to do it. I also felt like there are a lot of options right now, especially in the United States. You have companies like Major League Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, AEW, all these. There's so many possibilities. So I was like, you know what? Let me not rush to do that yet, and let me see what else is out there. And I still had a great relationship, so I was still, even in 2020, before the pandemic, I was still working for Ring of Honor as a free agent, as a freelance. And then pandemic hit, and of course everything shut down, so there's literally nothing going on. But good news, like I said, I'm still in good relationship with them. I'm actually going back to Ring of Honor next week.
So for one-time show or like a longer thing?
Taping or TV taping.
Oh, that's cool. Where is it?
It's everything is hosted in Baltimore. That's where their headquarters is. So that's where they tape the Pure tournament. So the Pure tournament that's happening right now. This is going to be the second taping. I haven't told anybody yet, so this is I'll be back there. I haven't signed anything yet. I'm still a free agent, but I'm still working with them and I have a good relationship with them. We'll see what happens.
That's
So-
cool.
Exclusive news for Blown Up. Yeah, that's how it should
This is
be.
really like my first time really getting to show off as a singles competitor. So that's kind of cool too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would like to go back to the show at Madison Square Garden real
Yeah.
quick. That might be a tricky question, but so you hear about that show that's gonna happen, Ring of Honor and New Japan run Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah.
So just like maybe I'm totally getting this wrong.
Sure.
But like I think my initial reaction would be, oh shit, I won't make it on the card.
Oh,
You know,
that was the first thing I thought. I was like, "There's no
Yeah.
way," because the card is so stacked, and even with the Honor Rumble, I still felt a sense of okay. I mean, I get it. I understand if there's people with more seniority or a bigger name, then okay, they're gonna get those spots. But when I got the text, I kind of almost like came to terms with it that I might not be on the card, and it is what it is. But when I got the text message, it kind of like it was a relief. It was a great feeling. But it was also like the most nervous I was ever in my life. So because then you look at the guys that were in there, we had some good Ring of Honor guys too. But you were also in there with like Suzuki and Liger and Great Muda. I'm like, dude, this craziness. It was like a mix of everybody. Haku was in that, like. It was crazy, like just wild.
Wait. Haku wasn't that?
Yeah.
I can't remember that.
And it's so funny. We're like in the back, getting ready for the match, and then there's this big door, and all of a sudden, like everyone gets quiet, and the door opens slowly, and it's just Muda. We're just like, oh shit! And he looked like a villain in a movie, or like a boss in a video game. Like he just like appeared from this garage door. He came up from an elevator and then came out, and it was just quiet, and everyone split, and he walked past us. I was like, oh boy, this is crazy.
Yeah, it is
But,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, I had come to terms with that. I might not be in it. I understood, but I'm very grateful that I had that chance. If it was like the longest 12 minutes of my life.
Because you mentioned it earlier, and I have to know now because we want to be exclusive here. How was
Yeah.
the catering at Madison Square Garden?
Say that again? The catering?
Yeah, how was it? Was it okay? Was it
Yeah, it was
just
good. It was good.
not just New York style
I
pizza?
I personally don't like to eat a lot before I wrestle, so I didn't touch much of it. I'm one of those guys that like I'll pick at I'll just get some sugar in my system beforehand, but that's it. I don't like to eat before.
Oh.
I'll wait till after. But unfortunately, it was all gone by the time I finished my wrestling. It was all gone.
That's actually a good topic because I myself, I can't eat too much before a match as well. And I only know people who say the exact same thing. So I don't know how it works that the catering is always empty once you come back.
I don't get that either, man. I don't. But there are guys that love to eat. It doesn't matter. They'll eat all day, like before a match. I can't do that. Like, it was fascinating to me. So when we were traveling in Germany, we would always stop somewhere at one of these. I don't know, what do you guys call them? Service area, rest stop. I don't
Yeah.
know. We call it.
Rest stop.
And these guys, like Yearn and AJ, would just get so much McDonald's and Burger King. Like, yo, how do you do this? How? I will throw up. I'm like, and then I'm like, look at Shaheem. Shaheem's got 2 milkshakes in his hand. Like, bro, how are you doing this? So it's just still fascinating to me when I see people just eating a lot before a show. I can't. I save it for afterwards. I eat maybe a banana and like some pre-workout and some water and just stay hydrated, and that's it. I can't eat.
So Next week or the next 2 weeks, you're going to Ring of Honor. What else is going on in the next couple of weeks and months with the situation going on right now?
Yeah.
What's your immediate future?
Yeah, so that the local company Wrestle Pro that I work for, we've been very active. So we've already had, besides the 2 Alaska events, we had 3 local ones here in the state.
Oh.
In New Jersey's kind of it's more lenient. You know, in the summer we just did outdoor events to keep everyone safe. Now we're able to bring fans inside, just at a limited capacity. So
How many?
I have
How many can you bring in? That would be interesting. Just to.
in my state it's 25%. So depending on the size of the building.
Yeah. Okay.
We've had one. I had one event that had 100 people. Another one had 40 people. Just depends on the size of the building. So I've got a couple of Wrestle Pro events. I'm in a big. It's called the Dream 16 tournament, which is really cool. It's a 2-night tournament. I'm excited about that. We have guys like Gangrel and Brian Pillman Jr. in that, and some of the best local guys. And then some Monster Factory events. We have like a Halloween show where everyone dresses up, which is always it's like a yearly thing we do.
Oh,
Where everyone dresses in a costume.
Are you gonna dress up as Avalanche this year?
Yes. Can you send me your singlet? So, yeah, we got that, and then next month should be fun too because I'm going to be traveling to Denver, Colorado it's like a lucha libre show.
Of course,
it's a weird mix of they bring in guys from Mexico. It's an interesting mix. There's guys like T.J. Perkins on it. Who else is on that show? Low Key's on there. A bunch of masked luchadors. Cassandra's going to be in there. Like it's a very like weird mix of people.
It's crazy.
So some states are doing shows, but others are just completely dead right now.
Yeah.
I'm lucky where I am right now is pretty active. I've been wrestling almost every weekend for the last 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've been very, very fortunate.
It's pretty good. We don't have that luck here.
Yeah.
Actually, you just saying it's very unrealistic. So you say it, and I hear it, but I can't process it. I can't believe it.
You know, it's funny because you're doing the closed tapings, right?
Yeah.
I feel like just from spending time over there that the people are way more responsible in Europe. Like I feel like you guys could get back to normal much quicker than like what we're doing. I'm shocked that it's even happening because the people here are not responsible. They're just assholes.
I think a big difference is that we believe that it's true.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I know it's I get tested every week. I wrestle and then a few days later I get tested. I do it. Yeah. This has been my normal lifestyle for the last couple months. So I take it seriously. My sister had COVID, so.
Oh, okay. She's fine?
She got better. She still can't smell or taste food. It's been 5 months.
I heard that a lot now, yeah. For my aunt too.
Yeah. Well, luckily she's okay, and I haven't had any other family members that had it, so that we got lucky.
Is she doing any sports too?
No, she's a police officer, actually. And in New Jersey, a lot of the police officers got sick.
Okay. Why?
So I think they're just, they're essential workers, so they just
had to be out there all the time. Yeah, okay.
And you're sitting in a car with your partner, and
yeah, that makes sense.
Her partner got it, and then that's how she got it. So yeah, and that was at the beginning of it in April. So
I'm sorry, but I have to ask the question because actually, in like 2 episodes, like one of the episodes in German language we did, we were also talking about COVID, and also Felix was bringing up that he knows people who can't taste anymore after so many months, and we were wondering if you like kind of forget how to cook properly because you can't taste anymore.
Right.
Could you answer that question maybe?
Oh man, I don't know. That would be crazy. But I was just talking to my friend at the gym. If I lost my sense of smell or taste, I would eat so healthy. I would have the perfect diet.
Yeah, there's no need
true,
not
because
to.
There's no difference, and fat doesn't make it good anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's cooked evenly and it's not raw, you're good.
A colleague of mine stopped smoking from COVID because it doesn't taste anymore. It's only the worst taste in there. So
That's my nightmare, man. I love to eat, so like, oh.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for answering that question.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know why? I mean, actually, because I know you're a cool dude and you have something stories to tell, of course. But do you know what was the initial reason why you popped up in my mind again?
Was it some joke about being Italian or something like this?
Close enough, but
That's not too far off. Actually, I was watching an early '90s film from Robert De Niro, A Bronx Tale,
Oh my god.
and then like on that evening, I don't know, like I got so much into that topic of like Italians on the East Coast and in New York and all that I ended up watching FBI matches from 2003 on a network, and then like I had that like then the idea came up. Hey, we have to do a blown up episode with LSG. Now that I'm like surrounded by so much Italian stuff, that's how it popped up in my mind. So I just wanted you to know.
I don't even know who started that.
I think it was me.
Yeah, maybe. It's yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm not. I don't think I have any Italian. Maybe like I think maybe my great great grandfather was from Sicily.
that's Italy.
Well,
I think I'm not even totally sure. I have to do an ancestry DNA thing. But yeah, my family's from South America. So but for some reason they gave me an Italian name and my brother an Italian name. Well, actually, my brother's name is Roberto.
oh,
His name is Roberto Gianni, and Gianni is the Italian version of like Johnny or John.
Yeah.
And then my name's Armando Giovanni. So like it's like Spanish and mixed with Italian.
That makes
don't
it
know.
more complicated.
Yes. But yeah, they just gave us weird Italian names. just for the hell of it, to confuse people.
But why are you sticking with it?
I always grew up as Giovanni.
Okay.
Because my father and I had the same first name.
Yeah.
So to differentiate us growing up, everyone would call him by his name, and then they would call me by my middle name, which was Giovanni, or Gio for short. And I think when I started wrestling, the first guy that I trained with, he's like, the name came from George St. Pierre. So he was like my favorite guy from the UFC. And I always liked the George St. Pierre, like the GSP, like the three initials. I liked RVD too. So I was like, you know what? I was like, something like that would be cool. Like, how can I use my name and then use the Saint? And then one day, like, the name Leon came out. I was like, there's no wrestler's named Leon. I mean, besides Vader, but he doesn't use that name. Leon. I was like, I don't know. It's a different name. And then it just sounded cool. I don't know. LSG. And it was easy to, it's always been easy for fans to like chant and stuff because it's 3 letters. And that's just how it stuck. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll change it, but right now I'm stuck with it.
Never change a winning team, right? If it works.
Yeah.
so if any American wrestling fans are listening, I would really like to hear the chant LSG from Italy on the next show he's on. Thank you very much. Where I was actually going with this, I would actually like to ask you if you have any recommendations regarding films and or music to to
get away from wrestling for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there something you would like to, you think people should listen to, watch, or maybe read that's overlooked?
Oh, okay, sure. I mean, there are a few things I'm watching right now that are keeping me occupied during the quarantine, which are really good. I don't know if you guys ever watched The Boys.
I loved the first season. Haven't watched the second yet.
Fantastic show. I'm on season 2 right now. It's so good. So if you haven't watched that, watch it. Especially, I'm a big superhero fan, like a comic book guy. So it's like a cool, different take on what superheroes would be like in real life if they existed. And then I've been watching Raised by Wolves. So if you like, what's his name? The guy who did Alien.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah, Ridley Scott. If you like Ridley Scott, that's his new show on HBO.
Oh.
HBO Max. Yeah, Raised by Wolves. The first season is on right now. That's a very cool show. It's about androids that take some embryos to a distant planet to repopulate.
That's a cool premise. I like
Yeah,
it.
and then you have like the religious people from Earth that are upset about it. That androids shouldn't be raising children, so they go after them.
Well, that's a very
So-
cool premise.
It's a really, really cool show. And if you like Prometheus, like if you like the newer stuff, Prometheus or Alien Covenant, it's kind of like that same tone.
I wasn't a fan about that.
I liked it, even though there were so many like unanswered questions. I love the vibe of. I love the whole world.
Yeah, I like the first half of Alien Covenant because it was just a cool traditional alien movie again, and I just wanted that again. But then this Prometheus Michael Fassbender stuff happened again. I was like, fuck, I don't want that.
I hope they finish that up, tie it up. We need one more movie.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Wrap it up. There's too many questions. And then Watchmen. If you guys have seen the Watchmen show or ever read the book, if you ever heard of it, read the book first. From I think it's from the 80s, and watch the show on HBO. It's fantastic. Do you guys have HBO Max?
Nope.
Nope.
Damn, I wonder how you get those shows over there.
And we have there's a thing called Sky Ticket, which gets most of the HBO shows, but Sky Ticket has the worst web player imaginable. It's it's
Damn.
terrible. We have Netflix is cool, Amazon Prime, everything works well, and then we have Sky Ticket, who has a shitty player. And why would you do that?
What are you guys watching now? I'm just curious. What's like hot right now in your? What are people watching?
Robert, I have to think for a second.
Actually, I haven't really. I don't have a series right now. I watched a couple of films lately. One of them was A Bronx Tale. I was very impressed by the film, I have to say.
Really good movie though.
It's a really good movie.
I've never even seen it.
Oh, it's really good. It's one of the best mob movies.
I'll have to watch that.
So that is definitely a good one. I watched Captain Phillips yesterday.
Yeah.
You know that?
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, it's about So
the Tom Hanks one.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's the captain of that ship that gets entered by pirates somewhere around Africa.
I'm the captain now.
That movie. Yeah, thank you. Now I get it.
That one. Yeah, I've seen that before. It's really good.
Yeah, that one was really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think.
Well, while he's thinking, I'm just doing a lot of movies lately because it's like fall is coming, it's getting colder, so all those those nice movies like Seven and all those 90s movies that really get you in a good mood for the darker times of the year.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out. Have you guys watched The Haunting of Hill House?
The series? No.
Yeah, the series.
I know the old movies, but haven't watched the series. Where is it on? Is it Netflix? No.
And Netflix.
Oh, okay.
And the second season just came out.
There's so much to watch. That's crazy.
It's too much. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Overwhelming, and there's Disney Plus too, and Mandalorian. It's just like there's just so much. Oh man, it's too much.
Like Robert, actually, just a couple months back, for the first time, watched all the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What did you think?
I enjoyed it. Like, actually, I never got why people would think that Star Wars is the greatest thing ever. And I'm just gonna be totally honest. I had a good time watching the movies, and like I now get why people like it, but it's still not that I would say, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. But I had a very good time watching those 9 movies all at once, basically. Yeah.
What order did you watch them? That's what I always tell people that. What order did you watch from episode?
I watched it like they came out.
Okay, so 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3, and then 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, that was the only way that made sense for me because that's how it was presented to people, right? So if I would, but I guess
Yeah.
I'm like that's very thin ice I'm walking on here. So
Yeah.
but people have
Did you,
different opinions, but yeah.
So I also asked people this too. So people who have just recently seen Star Wars movies, does it make sense now? All the cultural references, like there's because you grow up and there's just so much Star Wars references in life, just like jokes about Star Wars and things like that. Like, were you like, oh, that's what that is, or oh, that's what that's talking about, or, like the whole Luke, I'm your father, like that whole thing. We're like, oh, like
I mean, I knew that before, but because everybody knows that line, right?
right.
Even though you don't know what you're talking about at all, everybody knows that line and everybody knows that scene. So it wasn't. So I didn't have that experience
Mhm.
because I knew like a couple of scenes, but
Yeah.
It's not
just-
possible to grow up in Western society without knowing Star Wars in and out without watching it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up here,
Hmm?
good sir, we have a Spotify playlist called blownup.fm, and every guest of ours has the opportunity to put one song, which has to be available on Spotify, obviously, on this playlist. This is your turn now. Give us a song you think people should listen to.
Okay. Okay. All right. It's one of my favorites from back in the day when I was growing up. It's "Tomorrow Comes Today" by the Gorillaz.
Tomorrow comes today. Okay.
From the Gorillaz. I don't know that song, I think, but
I'm not sure if I know it either, but I'm gonna put it on the playlist right now. And as I'm doing this, I'm also gonna put on the playlist "No Sleep Till Brooklyn."
Yes, I love the Beastie Boys. I'm a huge Beastie Boys fan. So that's good.
I just put it on because it was Nuncio's theme in ECW, but yeah, I also like the track.
also, Robert just a couple months back was very excited and just texted me like, "Do you know this match?" And it was Nuncio versus Undertaker from like a random SmackDown of I think 2003 or so. If you don't know this match, it's amazing. It's on YouTube. It's the perfect match. It's wonderful.
There's so many weird, random like Undertaker matches from that time period.
This match is. I
Okay,
love it.
I will definitely watch it.
And you know what? I will watch that too in a couple of minutes because now I talked about it and I want it back in my life.
Man, if I ever get a chance to wrestle Nunzio or like Tony Mamaluke, I'm sending you the clips.
Please.
You know Tony Mamaluke is like shredded. He's like ripped. He's still
Yeah.
in great shape.
Where is he wrestling? Isn't he wrestling somewhere in like Mexico or something like that?
I don't know. He still does like small events, but I will send you the clip. One day I'll make it happen.
Yeah, please send me the. Unfortunately, people can't see what we're doing right now, but yeah. All right. I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up. Thank you very much for your time. It was a very nice talk. Very nice talking to you and also seeing you again. And who knows? Maybe once this whole shit COVID is over, maybe we see each other, be it in America or in Europe. Either way would work fine with me.
Absolutely. That's I have to go back. It's just it's weird, but I think about it almost every day about being there. So I'm going to make it happen no matter what, even if I have to go swim over there. I'll make it happen one day.